welcome back to round 2 of my Battle Royales, I'll say. I know Sam said she likes it pronounced better like that. That's the way I've kind of always said it anyway, the Battle Royale. They say Battle Royal in actual wrestling, but I like Battle Royale. Means the same thing, so I'll go with that. Today I have 20 contestants, yet again. Few of these I picked out because I've seen them so many times that I don't need to rewatch them again immediately just to know where they stand in my ranking. And then the rest I have either watched in the last couple weeks or in the last couple days. So I'm all over the place on this one. It's a pretty stacked ring for this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right to all our contestants for today. This one is called Pray for Death. Put them the same way as last time, so I don't fuck anything up here. I got a 2-pack here, Bad Dreams and Visiting Hours. Both of them are entering. I have A Nightmare on Elm Street. Van Helsing. Lorna the Exorcist. Like I said, a real mix. We have Bad Candy. What We Do in the Shadows. The movie. The Day the Earth Stood Still. This is one of those ones I just threw in because I just recently watched it for an episode, one of my previous episodes. The Retaliators. Watchmen. City of the Dead. Covered that one on my channel before as well. The Quick and the Dead. Lady Snowblood 1 and 2. This is a 2-pack. They're both entering. Planet Terror. Bill and Ted Face the Music. A Few Good Men. Doctor Strange. Another one I threw in because I just covered Scott Derrickson. And Aliens. So that's my stacked Rumble or Battle Royale, sorry, not Rumble. If I was doing a Royal Rumble for my non-wrestling fans, that would mean that each one's going to enter the ring every minute and a half to 2 minutes. I can't do that. It's kind of impossible unless you actually want to watch me wrestle these things. Which might be fun. Just gonna beat them down basically until I have one contestant left. But yeah, pretty stacked frickin' ring for this episode. I brought my handy pad and paper here that have my order and my rankings. And yeah, let's begin. First up, we're gonna eliminate this one here, Bad Candy. This is from a production company called Dread. They have Numbered Spines. And so far, I'm not a huge fan of this production company. This gets a 1/2 star from me. This is another one of those movies that are just so bad they're bad. And the reason why I bought this is because it has Corey Taylor from the lead singer of Slipknot on the cover here, his name. And I was thinking, yeah, I'll watch a movie with Corey Taylor. Can't be that bad. Be cool just to see him. And he's fine. The only problem is this is an anthology. Sorry. And he's just the he runs a radio show and with his friend, and they tell stories. And honest to God, this is like trying to be a Trick or Treat clone. Like the stories told here are practically the exact same, especially a couple of them, as stories from Trick or Treat. Only done with like terrible acting, terrible CG, terrible everything, terrible writing. It's so bad. Oh man, fuck. I had hope for this. Just reading to see if there was anybody else in it, but like Zach Galligan, I've heard of him. He's in a couple things I know. But man, these fucking Dread movies. The title's so like ironic because that's what they cause when you're watching all these. Is just dread. You're just like, not dread in a good way either. Dread when like, oh my god, is this over yet? I have about 4 or 5 in this series, these numbered spines, and every single one of them is fucking terrible. Wow, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say fucking terrible. This is the worst one of all of them that I have. This is my least favorite. I actually have another one coming up in a future Battle Royale because I just watched it today. And it wasn't quite as bad. I won't ruin my scores and stuff. I am going to light my traditional cigarette to have with my coffee. And get comfy here. Get settled in. So Bad Candy at number 20. If you're a collector and you want to collect the Dread films, this is one of them that you have to have. What number is this spine? Number 37. So there's a fuckload. Next up here, I am going to pull a Kino Lorber out. One of 2 Kinos in this Battle Royal. This is Lorna the Exorcist. And this is from the Kino Cult line. This is number 1. It was kind of tough to get here in Canada because I missed out on it when it first was released. But that cover sold me. I was like, ooh, that looks enticing. Directed by Jess Franco, who's notorious for his like sex films. I think Sam from Our Life in Horror might like this movie more than me. I gave this a 1 star because of the music. There's a score in this movie that I really like. It's the same song they play throughout the entirety of the movie. I like some of the styles of like filmmaking choices they do. But what loses me is the storyline and the like pornographic sex scenes. If you can even call them sex scenes, like, oh man, it's a lesbian movie where Lorna's the blonde. I'll give you a little sum up. She sleeps with a guy. I won't ruin who or why or anything. She has sex with a guy and tells him that in 18 years, I'm going to take your daughter. She's my daughter. It's demonic. I don't want to ruin any storyline in case you haven't seen this. Because this Kino Cult line's pretty fresh. It's only been around for a few months. And I don't want to ruin storylines because people have probably bought these and haven't watched them yet. But honestly, the sex scenes are so graphic that it is porn. Like, this is porno with a storyline. So if you like that, then this is for you. I gave it a 1 because has a couple cool elements. Normally, I would give a movie like this less than that because some of these movies that are super pornographic, it takes me out of the experience. It's not like I hate the movie because of that. It's just when the sex scenes are like 10 minutes long and they're just extremely graphic. I feel like that's all the movie is at that point. Like, it sucks me out of the rest of the experience, and now I'm just watching a porno. And they're like pretty much movies you need to watch alone because they'd be uncomfortable as fuck sitting in a room with anybody watching. I will give one description on some of the sex you will be dealing with in this. Basically, all the women in this movie have massive bushes, and for some reason they all like, what am I allowed to say? They all like flossing their teeth with each other's pubes. Let's go there. It's basically a pube flossing movie. Let's go with that. And I'm not joking on this, just so you know. So if that sold you and you want to check that shit out, check it out. The one actress here, Lena Romay, the black-haired one, she is the wife of Jess Franco for a long time. I'm not like 100% sure, but I watched a little bit of one of the special features on here, and it was talking about that. So yeah, Lorna the Exorcist, number 1 in the Kino cult line, number 19 on my list. Next up, we have a movie I just covered last week or the week before. This is from Scott Derrickson. This is The Day the Earth Stood Still with Keanu Reeves and big stat cast. I talked about this a lot on my Scott Derrickson ranking, so I'm not going to go into great detail. I'll just say that it's an end-of-the-world movie. Sci-fi. Not a fan of the reason why the world's ending. It's just your cliche, stupid reason that I disagree with. So it rubs me the wrong way. But okay performances from everybody. It's what you expect from these end of the world movies. A couple intense moments, but for the most part, it's pretty lackluster. Like, even politics aside, it's not a good movie. Even if you agree 100% with the political messaging, it's still not a good movie. So I gave this a 2. I'm gonna stick with that number, and I'm just gonna go right past it because I already talked about it. At number 17, my other Kino Lorber movie. This one was a bit of a letdown for me. This stars Sho Kosugi. This is Pray for Death. Title like that, Sho Kosugi. He's like, for those who don't know, every single like ninja movie from the 80s and earlier, Sho Kosugi plays the ninja. Like, every single one you'll find. And I like him. He's a good actor for this role. This one, the storyline let me down. Not the blood and the violence. It doesn't come with a slipcover either. It's the same cover on the ends. It comes with a slipcover. It doesn't come with reversible art. A lot of these slips, I like when they put reversible art on them because I like to have different on the inside than the outside. To me, if you have the exact same art as the inside, it makes the slipcover stupid to me. Like, who cares? But yeah, this one is a ninja from Japan, moves his family to America to start a new life and seek the American dream. And he moves to an area where he rubs a gangster, we'll say, the wrong way, and they end up going after his family. I won't say what happens to his family for those who haven't seen it yet. Um, but something happens to his family, and he goes full ninja to get his revenge. There's some really cool scenes. All the weapons he uses are all your classic ninjutsu weapons, which I love. Like it is cool that he's got them all on him. So he's using all of his ninjutsu weapons to kill people, which is cool. Tons of blood and everything, but the storyline just there wasn't enough. It was so simplistic. It was just like, okay, bad guys hurt family, revenge time. And I need a little bit more substance than that usually from my martial arts or kung fu or ninja movies. But definitely add this because I'm pretty sure I have like the entire Sho Kasugi ninja marathon. Like I have Kino Lorber's been putting pretty much all of them out. I think I have all of them. So I'm gonna be probably bring in some of his other ones, his more popular ones, to future battle royals. But yeah, Pray for Death. If you like a good ninja movie, I gave that a 2.5 out of 5. So you're not what I was expecting, but still not terrible. What do I got next here? I have my first elimination from this Scream Factory 2-pack. And this one that's getting eliminated is Bad Dreams over here. This I gave a 2.5 as well. Stars Jennifer Rubin from, is it Jennifer Rubin or Rubins? Just Jennifer Rubin. She's from Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. She's the girl that has the addiction, in case you don't know. She's been in some other stuff too, but that's probably her most famous role that I can think of off the top of my head. This one, it's not terrible. Like, I was expecting it to be a lot worse than it was. Being on these Scream Factory 2-packs, usually I'm not getting massive movies. Like, I assume that, okay, they stuck 2 on 1, which means they didn't think either of these could hold their own Blu-ray by themselves. So I never know about those titles. I'm like, okay. But this was first time watch. And the movie starts out and she's like a teen girl and she's in a cult. And this guy basically tricks everybody into burning themselves to death. And it's pretty horrifying. Like, brutal imagery. And she survives. But she's in a coma. And she wakes up 15 years later and she's in a mental institution. Because they want to make sure she's okay after all of this. And she spends 15 years in a coma. So she wakes up, the world's changed. And she's sitting around, and it kind of feels like Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, like same kind of story. She's with all the other kids that have something wrong with them, maybe. And there's some twists and turns. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to go too deep, because I don't want to ruin any storyline here. I do think this is a must-grab 2-pack. This is one of the better ones. Obviously, because the other movie's still in rotation in this Battle Royal here. But at number 16, Bad Dreams. Check it out. At number 15, we have from... The Retaliators. I bought this for one reason and one reason only. And that was that a lot of musicians off a record label I like a lot out of the US. I can't remember what the record label's called off the top of my head. And I probably won't, but a lot of the bands and musicians off a record label, mostly metal, in the U.S. Are in this movie. Bands like Five Finger Death Punch, the entire band is in the movie. A band called The Hue makes an appearance. Jacoby Shaddix, I think that's his name, the lead singer of Papa Roach, and the lead singer of Ice Nine Kills. I know that's an up and coming band that a lot of people like a lot of. They're all in this. So this got a 3 from me. And I think it's because of that. Because it's not a very good movie. It's got some pretty cheesy special effects in certain spots. Some pretty bad acting in certain spots. Normally, like, if it didn't have these people in it, this is a movie that I would normally give a lower score to. But I did enjoy seeing them all acting and how their stories would play out and stuff. And it does have a cool, somewhat interesting story. It opens up with a scene with a bunch of people getting attacked in their van by what seem like zombies. And by the end of the movie, you realize that they weren't zombies, they were something else, and there's a twist. And I won't ruin it. But, yeah. That's what that is. I'll leave it at that. Next up here at number 14, we're going to eliminate Bill and Ted Face the Music, which I know will be blasphemy for some people. So, I have never seen Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I've only ever seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Liked it a lot, but I didn't see it when I was really young, so I have no, like, nostalgia for it. And this movie feels like a nostalgia play to me. Like, some of the stuff that I didn't really find funny, I assume it's if you have, like, love for the other two movies and they're paying, like, homage to them. Homage. Because I didn't really understand it. But, like, it still is entertaining if you haven't seen that. I gave it a 3. I still got some laughs out of it. It's funny seeing Keanu Reeves, who's normally just, like, dead, like, dull face, or one style of acting from him, usually. And it's just one word at a time. And I don't know. It's funny watching him and just be a complete doofus. Crazy dude. So I got some enjoyment out of it. But obviously, if you've seen the first two, then check out this one, because I'm assuming you'll probably like it. But yeah, 3. Just going to zoom through the next few here. Next up is number 13. And this is the second movie from the Scream Factory Dual Pack. This is Visiting Hours. Tapping on this side, but it's this one. This one stars Michael Ironside as a very mean-spirited piece of shit villain. Like, just a mean dude, a woman-hating monster, basically. And he's like a serial killer / woman abuser. And he goes after this famous girl in the movie because she's leading a campaign on, like, women that are in abusive relationships with men. And he wants to basically kill her because she's everything he's against. And there's obviously backstory to why he's the way he is, and just lots of build-up. There's intensity. She basically spends the whole movie inside a hospital after she's attacked by him the first time. And I found it really funny. This one I gave a 3.5 to. I found it funny the ways that he was trying to get into the hospital to kill her, because he would have to keep leaving, and then he has to figure out another way to try to get to her, and it just keeps going. So yeah, but so there's some brutal stuff in this movie, uncomfortable, unpleasant, rapey kind of shit, if you're allowed to say that. I don't know. Nasty. At number 12 here, I have The Quick and the Dead. This is from Sam Raimi. Um, a Western I remember seeing when I was a kid, stars studded, like Gene Hackman, Sharon Stone, Russell Crowe, Leonardo DiCaprio. This also has, it's not going to tell me, is it? It's got Gary Sinise, Lance Henriksen. Um, it's got Keith David. Like all kinds of familiar faces in this. And I remember loving this when I was a kid. Like, I just remember the concept of it. Gene Hackman's the big bad guy of this town. He's the sheriff bad guy. He runs it with an iron fist. Leo's his son. Russell Crowe used to be a member of his gang who escaped, and now he's been captured and he's being forced to fight it's a high noon movie. It's a tournament of who can pull their gun quicker and shoot each other to the death with all of these people fighting each other. Everyone unnamed. Which is a cool concept and it's fun to watch. That part of the movie I still love. The rest of it fell a little short for me. I ended up giving this a 3.5 as well. Still solid. Western from Sam Raimi. Like, who knew, right? But I think everyone does awesome jobs here. Like, Sharon Stone's really good in the movie. She's the main character. It's mostly her movie. But all the other characters have enough time to shine and get you to know them. And so you actually care about their deaths when they lose battles. But if you haven't seen The Quick and the Dead, it's also a really nice looking 4K to check out. Ditch that nasty smoke. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. That's what it is. It's just basically a high noon gunslinger movie. Keep it simple. Twists. There's some twists in it. And then next is from this 2-pack, and this is Lady Snowblood 2, Love Song of Vengeance. This is the sequel. The first one's on here too. So this will be going back in. This was another 3.5 from me. First time watch of both of these movies the other night. I watched them back to back. And blew my mind how much they compare to Kill Bill. Just like from everything from the blood spray, which is one of my favorite parts of this movie. Every time this girl cuts off somebody's limb or slices them at all, it is blood spray. Like from Kill Bill at the end where she's cutting off limbs and it's just like spraying blood. He took that from this movie. It's a cool vengeance tale. This is the second one, so I don't want to say a ton because I'll talk about it more when I get to number 1, which is a much better movie. But I gave this a 3.5. There's not enough Lady Snowblood in this sequel, I'll say that. It takes a different storyline with some other characters, and she's only in parts of the movie. That was the thing that lowered it for me. I was hoping for the exact same, basically, as the first movie, and I didn't get it. So that does it for my bottom 10. Now we're cracking the top 10 here for this fucking Rumble. Or Battle Royale, sorry. And at number 10, we are getting the elimination of Van Helsing. Another star-studded cast here with some okay special effects. Some of them don't hold up today, but they're not terrible. They're not the worst thing you've ever seen. But this is a fun movie. This goes up to a 4 for me. 3.5 to 4. And it's just fun. It's just like Universal's just like, I'm going to throw a bunch of our monsters into one movie and just make chaos, basically. And that's what this is. Hugh Jackman's character travels to Transylvania to help Kate Beckinsale take down Dracula, and Frankenstein's monster, and Wolfman, and the Brides, and just like everything. Dr. Jekyll is in there. Everybody makes an appearance. And it's just fun action. It's what you'd think it is. Just crazy over the top action scenes. But beautiful. It sounds excellent. This 4K is really nice. So if you like Van Helsing, grab that. I don't need to do deep explanation on that movie. Next one at number 9. So I think I did rank this at a 3.5, not a 4. Because I definitely gave this next movie a 3.5. So I'm guessing that would be a 3.5 as well, and that's Doctor Strange. This one surprised me when it came out. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I just covered it on my Scott Derrickson ranking. But this one surprised me on how much I liked it. When this Marvel movie came out in the MCU, I didn't even know. I didn't know much about Doctor Strange. I knew of his name, but I didn't know. I haven't read any of his comics or anything like that. So it was all fresh. And Mads Mikkelsen as the villain, love him. I love him in everything I've seen him in, actually. I think he's just got that face. Like, I just like him, his acting. It's like, you're comfy here. And no back support on this bench I'm sitting on. And it delivers. Like, it gives you what it is. If you haven't seen Doctor Strange, he's a surgeon who gets in a bad accident and basically is just a stubborn asshole. Rachel McAdams is in this as his girlfriend. And he just learns to be good again by going to visit Tilda Swinton, who plays the Ancient One. And she carries this, I guess I'll spoil it. It's the Time Stone from the Infinity Stones, one of the Infinity Stones. And she just teaches him the ways of magic. And he becomes a superhero. So yeah, 3.5. And then next up, at number 8, I have, and my wife will be mad at me for this one because she absolutely loves this movie, but I gave it a 4, so this was where I hit my 4s. This is What We Do in the Shadows. This is just a comedy, like straight up. There's nothing scary in this movie. It's just a comedy. What's his name here? Taki Watiti, or Taika Watiti, Taika Watiti. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think that might be it. It's written by the guys that do Flight of the Conchords, and they're in it basically. And it's just the 4 different generations of Dracula. Your sexy, smoldering Dracula, your old school style Dracula, your bad boy, Lost Boys style Dracula, and your Nosferatu, all living in a house together for centuries and just coexisting. It's just a comedy about that, and there's some funny shit. Like, I did feel like I was laughing out loud at multiple moments. So it got a 4. This is a solid comedy. It's from like 2014 or something. 2015, 2014, I don't know, something like that. Also a pretty difficult movie to get here in Canada for some reason. I had to order that in from the States. Irritated me. But yeah, What We Do in the Shadows at number 8. And then next up at number 7, we have Planet Terror from Robert Rodriguez. This is part of the Grindhouse dual pack with Death Proof. This one is, I think this gets as high of a score from me, not because of its storyline, because the storyline is just your typical zombie virus going around town infecting people. I think it's the shooting style, and some of the dialogue is pretty funny as well. But it's just the direction, the grindhouse feel, where it feels like you're watching burnt film and just old feeling, even though it's new. But it's a fun zombie flick. Fergie has a funny moment in this movie. Sorry, I'm so dry. Fucking dry in here. But this is Rose McGowan's show, really. She's kind of the star. It's her story. Freddie Rodriguez, I think. Is that his name? Freddie? Freddie Rodriguez. Michael Biehn. Jeff Fahey. Josh Brolin. Marley Shelton. It's a stacked cast. Quentin Tarantino has an appearance in this that's really gross. Basically, I'll give you a sum up of the storyline. It's like a military virus that was accidentally unleashed. And Bruce Willis leads a team of soldiers that are all infected by this, and they're looking for the cure. And they suck on these, like they breathe through these gas things that help keep them from changing. But once they stop breathing in that gas, they start to mutate into like zombie creatures. And there's a scene where Quentin's being a disgusting, like, rapist pig. And his dick falls off. It's pretty fucking graphic and gross. And funny, too, all at the same time. But yeah, it's just a ridiculous movie. Gotta check it out if you haven't seen it. This is another 4. And then, next up here at number 6... we have The City of the Dead from 1960, starring Christopher Lee. This is another 4 from me. And, like, I've showed this movie before on my channel. I think this is a must-grab for horror fans. I think this is an absolute classic from 1960. Christopher Lee is a college professor, and he sends one of his students to this town to do some like historical investigating and learning. And when she gets there, mysterious shit is going down, and it's just classic gothic feel. Beautiful scenery in a couple of moments, like this scene right on the cover here. This whole section is in the movie, and it's really good. And it turns out that some culty shit is going down. And she gets caught up in the middle of it. Keep it simple. I don't want to ruin storyline. If you like the sound of that style of movie, then grab it. Christopher Lee. It's awesome as always. I've talked about that movie on my channel before as well. And then my top 5. This is a 4 from me again. And this is A Few Good Men. Nice 4K here, too. This stars, like... I know all these actors were in things before this movie, but... What year was this? Like, 1990? I think it's 1990. 92? Doesn't say. One of those ones that don't tell you. But, like... this stars, like, a whole bunch of people that were... like, teen comedy stars of the 80s. Like... Tom Cruise, Demi Moore, Kevin Bacon, just like teen sex comedies. That's all they were really in before this. And it brings them all together to give like serious, dramatic courtroom drama performances. And that's what this is. It's a courtroom drama. Tom Cruise is a brand new lawyer, like fresh out of university, and he's in the Navy, and he's he's given the task of defending 2 by-the-book defendants that are Marines, and they're just hard-ass by-the-book Marines, and they accidentally killed somebody. And I'm not going to explain any of the secrets, obviously, because as this movie goes on, you learn more and more about the situation. It's a mystery. And Kevin Bacon is the prosecuting attorney. So it's basically Tom Cruise and Demi Moore versus Kevin Bacon in a courtroom drama. And it leads to one of a famous line. The famous line of, "I want the truth. You can't handle the truth," from Jack Nicholson. It's it's good. Like, fucking superstar performances here from everybody. Intense. Jack Nicholson is as intense as he always is. If you haven't seen A Few Good Men, you have to watch it. Anybody can like it. It's just a good, intense political thriller drama with some courtroom battling. Now we got my final four here. We got Lady Snowblood, the original. We got A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. We got Watchmen, and we got Aliens. Now, oh my god. Now, two of these are 5s from me, and the other two are 4.5s. And my first 4.5 getting eliminated in 4th place will be Lady Snowblood. Now, this might go up to a 5 in the future. But, like, oh, it's so hard. If I had seen this before, these are old too, by the way. I guess I should give the years. This original's 1973, and the second one that I've already done, Lady Snowblood 2, is 1974. If I had seen this before I've seen the Kill Bill movies, then this would easily probably be like one of my favorite samurai style movies ever made. But because I've seen a lot of the really freaking cool shit that's happening in this movie, I've seen it already in Kill Bill. So this one feels like the unfresh one, even though this is the fresh one. But it's still a masterpiece. It is just beautiful. Some of the scenes here with her. But I'll give more of an in-depth story on what it is this time. So it's basically the Kill Bill storyline. She is wronged, and she's out for vengeance to kill the people that wronged her and her family. But right down to the classic scene too. I don't know if anybody that's seen Kill Bill, the scene where Uma Thurman's getting married, she gets shot and she's on the ground and all the people are standing above her and the camera's looking up at them all. That exact scene is in this movie, along with all kinds of other stuff. But this time, it's her mother. It's Lady Snowblood's mother. And it tells the story throughout the whole movie, but it lets you know pretty early that her mother, her father, and her brother, and she doesn't exist yet. So her mother, her father, and her brother are walking through this corrupt town, and they get brutally murdered, and the father and the son get brutally murdered, bloody. And she runs, and these guys get her in a barn, and they just go to town on her, basically, for like days on end. They're just brutalizing this woman. And it cuts to years later, and she finds one of them, the mother does, and kills him. So she's on a vengeance mission to kill these people that did this to her family and her, like any normal person would. And she gets arrested after she kills the first guy. And you don't really know this right away because this movie pieces it together in chapters, and it's all over the place. But I don't want to ruin everything. She ends up goes to prison, and there's a scene that I laughed out loud, even though you shouldn't, because it's not really funny. But she's explaining her story. She's telling her story to like a bunch of other inmates while she's on a birthing table. and she's apologizing to them because when she got there, she just became a sex craved animal. And she actually calls herself like, she says, when I arrived here, sisters, I just started whoring around. I just bursted into laughter because it felt like a comedic thing, but it wasn't supposed to be. And then it shows her like sleeping with all the prison guards and shit. And you don't understand what's going on, but then she explains it's because she was trying to get pregnant. She's telling this while she's on the birthing table, about to die because the baby's breech. And she ends up dying, but not before her baby's out of her, and that's who Lady Snowblood is. She is giving birth to Lady Snowblood in this scene, and she passes like a demonic curse onto her daughter that she just gave birth to, that her sole purpose will be to seek vengeance against those who wronged her. Just fucking selfish as shit. But also, I get it too. So Lady Snowblood is basically almost, it's like anti-villain. Like she's almost demonic. She's almost like a demonic force that can't be stopped. So she's just badass, basically. Like there's a scene where she's just walking. This is how the second movie opens. Actually, tell a quick scene. The second movie opens with her just going for a stroll, and she's just walking along a path, going down to pay respects at a cemetery, and there's people trying to kill her, and she's just not even looking, and just slicing limbs off, and killing them as she's going without even paying them to time, or giving them the time of day. And it's pretty fucking badass and epic. But this first movie isn't that. This is more her, like it shows her training when she's a child, and this Grand Master ends up being the one that adopts her from the prison after her mother dies, giving birth to her. A Grand Master adopts her, which is awesome. And then her training as a child is brutal. Like this Grandmaster puts her inside barrels when she's like 8 years old, and just throws her down fucking cliff sides, and she has to try to stay inside the barrel as it's rolling down the hill, and like just teaching her with the most brutal shit you can imagine until she's beaten and bloody. So they're letting you know that this woman is a killing machine, and there might be some kind of curse on her where she cannot be killed, and she's demonic or something. But yeah, beautiful scenes of blood spray and just sword play and stuff. It's excellent. This is a 4.5. It probably deserves a 5, honestly, but it's a 4.5 just because I've seen some of the scenes before. Even though I shouldn't have. This should have been the first one I watched. But yeah, sitting at number 4. Lady Snowblood. And then next up at number 3 is another 4.5 from me. And I know this might be blasphemy as well, but it is Aliens. Now, unlike some people, most people to be honest, this one, although is awesome, I still like the original better. The original, to me, I won't talk about the original because I'll probably do that in a further episode. Let's talk about this one. This is James Cameron's take on it. And this is an action film. This really isn't, it's a horror action movie. This isn't a slow, intense, slow burn like the first one is. This is just 100 xenomorphs. And I think what excels this movie into another, up to the 4.5, this would be more of a 3.5 for me. But the final act is so fucking good with the alien queen, the queen mother. It's so damn good that it bumps it from a 3.5 to a 4.5 for me. Borderlining on a 5. Bill Paxton's awesome in this, as always. Love him. Basically, they really like give you an intense introduction to the face hugger. They make it more of a main villain. This 4K looks fucking phenomenal. This is basically the last version I'll ever buy of this, unless they put out some kind of awesome 4K collection of the whole series or something. But must have to your collection. Aliens is legendary. Newt is an awesome character. The little girl. I've talked about this movie before in earlier episodes. Everyone's seen Aliens, right? There's no point in me going in depth on storyline. It's just tell you how much I like it and show you where it lands in my ranking. It's number 3 of this Battle Royal. Finishes 3rd place. And now we are at my 2 5s. On one hand here, we have one of the movies that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. So it lives with me forever because of that reason. I just remember actually being terrified when I was young and I watched this. This came out 1 year before I was born. And this 4K, I'll start there. This 4K is a must grab unless you want to hold out and wait for that 4K collection that's coming, because I'll be buying that for sure. That's one thing that's notorious with this, is that it has the shittiest Blu-ray collection in my collection. It's just such a plain, stupid collection. So happy, just like all the collectors, when that got announced. I have my final smoke of this episode. This is Wes Craven's masterpiece. Created maybe the most iconic slasher of all time, Freddy Krueger. This is the one that's a true horror movie. Probably this and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. These two are actually scary. This one being true horror. He's not joking around in this. He's an actual child murdering pedophile fucking demon. He's not a nice, funny character in this. He's fucked. And I like that. I just like how sick he actually is. So, when I was younger, before I had seen all the sequels 30 times each, and all you have to go on is just this movie, Freddy isn't fun. He's brutal and scary and terrifying, and has a terrible backstory. The worst of all of them, actually. It's a serial child killer. That's the worst backstory of all the slashers. And even Michael Myers, he's completely out to lunch and has no feelings or remorse and kills his family, but that's still not as bad as just murdering children. So Freddy's the baddest ass of them all, in my opinion. He's my favorite of all the slashers. I think Freddy's my favorite slasher of all time, although he doesn't have the greatest movies. This first one is a masterpiece. The sequels, the next 2 and 3 are, I won't get into them. Keep doing that. I want to talk about the whole franchise. But I need to save those for future episodes. Especially if that 4K pack comes out. But A Nightmare on Elm Street is taking my 2nd place. So all that said, this is number 2. And it's a beautiful movie. You need to get it. Just a sick, twisted nightmare on Elm Street. But with that said, Watchmen came out at the perfect time for me, I think. This is, before I get into my deep thoughts on it, the ultimate cut of this. Now, there's one thing that bugs me about this set here. Is the only disc that's 4K is the ultimate cut. Which also adds an hour and 15 minutes to the movie. Which is already a long movie. It pushes it up into over 4 hours, I think. No, it pushes it up to 215 minutes. So what's that? 3 hours and like 35 minutes. Three and a half hours. But it adds the Tales of the Black Freighter story, which is awesome if you're a fan of just the whole story being in one movie. But to your average person, it would have been nice to just have the theatrical cut on 4K as well. But you get that on double Blu-rays, 2 Blu-ray discs. So this is the ultimate edition. I just wish they had that one feature. But with that said, Watchmen is this is top 20 movies of all time for me. I just absolutely love this when it came out. I know it doesn't get that much praise, but Zack Snyder, the director, I think he just nails this movie. I don't know how dead on it is with the comic book. I know that might be some problems people have with it, is it leaves some of the stuff from the comic book out. I'm okay with it. Like, this still tells such a complete, awesome story with twists and like one of the best soundtracks of all time, I think. The music just picks up right in the opening credits, doesn't let up, and holds me in for the whole movie. No dud songs, just awesome soundtrack. I call it a soundtrack, it's score. It's not score, it's just songs. I love every character. Rorschach is fucking intense, and he's what you want Batman to be, basically. He's just brutal. Murders the fuck out of the bad guys. You got the comedian here, played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who does an excellent job in that role. It's just corrupt superheroes. I haven't seen The Boys, but I'm assuming that it's kind of inspired by Watchmen, the comic book, I'm guessing. Because it feels, everything I know about it feels like it's kind of using that character development thing where they're just all anti-heroes. Dr. Manhattan's storyline is awesome here. This movie has an incredibly funny sex scene between Patrick Wilson and Malin Ackerman, who are 2 superheroes in the movie. And it's an absolute masterpiece to me. It might be blasphemy for some people, but it's a masterpiece. With that said, I didn't know whether I liked Nightmare on Elm Street more or not. It's so fucking hard. These two are so neck and neck. Like, if I was ranking my all-time favorite movies, these two would be sitting right beside each other, and I would be debating in my mind. Really hard. But, with that said, that is all she wrote. We got our champion for this Battle Royal, and it is Watchmen. So, my first Battle Royal winner was Inglourious Basterds. My second Battle Royal winner is Watchmen. I might throw them in a pile and do a future episode where I have like 20 winners from 20 episodes go up against each other, which will really get my brain working overtime, because it is, I don't know if anybody ever does that, but ranking all your like 5-star movies against each other is not easy. It's really hard, especially when you're talking all different genres, like every genre being ranked together. It's really difficult to do. But yeah, awesome stack. As per usual, I recommend adding everything all the time to your collection. Except for Bad Candy. If you don't want to collect that, that's acceptable. And I would also say Day the Earth Stood Still, even though it's not my second last. But Lorna the Exorcist, I feel like you have to grab just because this Kino Cult line I'm liking. Like, I think I have like 3/4 of the line completed. The entire line. And I've watched a lot of them. And some of the other movies in the line I actually like quite a bit. So they'll be coming in future episodes. So that one I say you have to collect, because if you're going to collect some of the movies of these numbered spines, it just feels like a necessity to start at number 1. So you have them all. But yeah, pretty awesome stack here. You could buy any of these and you wouldn't be disappointed. They're going to go up in my top shelf there where I've made some space, because I need to like kind of help keep track of what I've watched from my collection so I don't accidentally bring the same movie back. So between letterbox rankings and putting them away on my shelf, and that's how I'm keeping track basically. So I already have most of my next battle royal prepped and ready to go. So I will have that up as soon as I have the time to film the episode. So thank you for watching this one, and I appreciate you sticking around for as long as these are. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you in the next one, the next Royale.